Namaskar and a very good morning to all of you. My name is Lisa Pingre, and on behalf of the Pune International Center and the Symbiosis International University, I welcome you all to the 7th lecture in the Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture Series. Pune International Center, as you all know, was founded to provide a platform for open debates and discussions on issues of local, national, and global concerns, and to motivate and activate the rich intellectual resources that the city of Pune is so richly and abundantly blessed with. Symbiosis University is a pioneering educational institute in the country, highly ranked, and they believe in the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and they are therefore home to a lot of international students. Dr. Dileep Padgaonkar was very closely associated with both these organizations. It is 7 years today that Dr. Dileep Padgaonkar has left us, but his imposing persona continues to inspire and to guide us. He is one of those timeless people that will stay tangible. His work and his writings have cast an immortal shadow. He was erudite, had astute political acumen. He was funny, he was irreverent, and despite his many laudable accomplishments, he continued to stay very humble, unassuming, and very real. He was a man of many interests and many passions, current affairs being the most obvious, but he was also very interested in music, arts, not many food. That was a great passion for him. Everybody has their own favorite DP, as we used to call him, favorite DP stories. I have several, and he is keenly and sorely missed. He, in his own words, he had the second most important job in the country after the Prime Minister, and we really wish he was here to fulfill that job today. The Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture Series is a commemoration in his honor and his memory, which is jointly organized, as I said, by the Pune International Center and the Symbiosis International University. We are very honored to have with us Mr. Girish Kuber to deliver the 7th lecture in this series. Before we begin with the program, may I request you all to kindly put your cell phones on silent so that we do not disturb the proceedings and the speakers. We are very honored to have with us on the dais our guest speaker, Mr. Girish Kuber, as also PIC President, Scientist and Innovation Man, Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar, Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, Founder and President, Symbiosis, Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Distinguished Academician and Educationist. Dr. Vidya Yerodikar, Principal Director of Symbiosis Society and Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, and also Dr. Latika Padgaonkar. Thank you all for being here. May I now request Dr. Vidya Yerodikar to deliver her opening remarks.
Thank you, Lisa. The chief guest for the 7th Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture Series, Mr. Girish Kuber, Dr. Mashelkar sir, a person who all of us idolize with, Dr. S.B. Muzumdar sir, the Chancellor of this university, my dear friend Latika Padgaonkar, Abhay Vaidya, and there's so many dignitaries in the audience that if I take names of each one, it will take a long time. So all the august members in the audience, faculty members of Symbiosis, and my dear wonderful students from many institutions of Symbiosis. For us, Dileep Padgaonkar was a chair professor under the Faculty of Media and Communication and the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences at Symbiosis International University. He was so fond of students and so fond of teaching that he was not just a chair professor who would come and sit with us, talk to us about strategy, but he would actually enter classrooms and faculty rooms to speak with students, to engage with them, and also design innovative curriculums, not just at our media school, but even at our Institute of International Studies, our School of Culinary Arts, and many more. And therefore, Dileep Padgaonkar was constantly present on the campus of Symbiosis, inspiring young students and faculty members. For us at Symbiosis, of course, it was a great loss. But as Lisa very rightly said, that he was involved in so many activities that just yesterday and the day before yesterday, we had the International Relations Conference where Dr. Jaishankar was present on the campus, and we remembered Dileep sir so much because he would be involved in the conference so deeply, engaged with every topic, every discussion, and of course, even getting good speakers. So we really missed him over the last 2 days. At the School of Culinary Arts, which was his passion, as Lisa very rightly said, it was amazing to see him deliver lectures on jalebis, so it would really inspire students so much, and he would actually go on to, the culinary skills. And for me personally, and Dr. Muzumdar sir, being a Saraswat, we used to have discourses on Saraswat food, Khatkata, from Khatkata to khobriachi kadi, to so many things. My mother is here and she would always make some very typical Saraswat dish and send it to him. So it was such a wonderful personality, and though he's gone, his soul still remains on the Symbiosis campus. As for Mr. Girish Kuber, as I just said, and thank you, sir, for giving me the autograph on one of the books that I carry with me, very closely, the Tata story. Girish Kuber is one of the most popular and prolific writers, and for me personally, there are two authors who I read and revere. One of them, Girish Kuber, and the other, of course, Yuval Noah Harari. I'm sure all of you also would, idolize with these two authors. So thank you very much for accepting this 7th Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture and being at Symbiosis. I hope this is the beginning of your association with Symbiosis, and we hope to see you, like Dileep Padgaonkar, in the classrooms of our media school. Thank you once again, and I welcome all the members and the August gathering.
Thank you, Vidya, for reviving all those wonderful memories of Dr. Padgaonkar. Dr. Mashelkar, renowned scientist and innovation man, will now address the audience.
Thank you. Professor S.B. Muzumdar, our revered Dada, Dr. Vijay Kerkar, our beloved Vice President, our distinguished speaker of the day, Girish Kuber, Dr. Vidya Yerodwekar, Latika Padgaonkar, and indeed the entire Padgaonkar family which is present in the audience, Abhavedya, members of Pune International Center family, ladies and gentlemen. I love packed stadiums. I love packed halls like this, and particularly people standing. I think that just shows the respect that Dileep carried. And it also shows the weight, amazing weight of our speaker today, Mr. Girish Kuber. So feel very gratified. Dileep is no more. He left us too early. 72, Vijay, is no age to go, isn't it? But finally, he decides, and he took him away from us. Although he is no more, he is everywhere for us. Because what he left behind with his impact on Pune International Center, on Pune, on Maharashtra, on India, and indeed the world, was incredible. Dileep had a number of adjectives that people used to use for him. Erudite, classy, liberal, secular, fair-minded. One can go on and on. And it is all this plus more. And Vidya, you mentioned about that, some more. Okay? Dileep was liberal to the core, promoting the values of tolerance, mutual respect for contrarian values, and so on and so forth. Something that is much needed today. I don't have to elaborate. He set iconic standards in journalism and use of media, but most importantly, courage and confidence. He said what he meant and meant what he said. We are short of such people today. PIC in particular is indebted to him. He laid the foundation along with Dr. Vijay Kirkar, myself, and a few others who participated in this process of creating this great center. And I'm not tired of saying that he always reminded us, Pune International Center is international center in Pune. And we have lived up to that expectation. I won't have time to talk to you about what PIC does. Girish Rao, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to pay tribute to an individual. And we see lots of similarities between him and you in many, many respect. You have been also courage personified, your deep scholarship I've enjoyed. I can tell you that 4 of your books are on my bookshelf. Renaissance, then Tatayan, Adharma Yuddha, and Yuddha Juvache. You know, what I found very interesting, and the diversity of topics that you cover is incredible, I would say. I've read Tatayan. I've been deeply associated with Tatas. 1960, I got a scholarship from them. Then I was on the board. I continued to chair their affirmative action program committee for, I think, 13 years and so on and so forth. But after reading Tatayan, I knew more about Tatas than I have had by experiencing them for so many years. Your Yuddha Jivache, for example, you know, there you talk about the invisible enemy in terms of the biological and chemical warfare and the global strategies, the MNCs and so on and so forth. That is also something that I understand a bit, being a chemical engineer, having worked with pharma industry, CSR, drug research, drug regulatory committees and so on and so forth. But once again, the kind of insight that you gave were sort of incredible. I'm making this particular point about the deep scholarship because we know about all his attributes. So I want to again thank you. We welcome you with much affection and much, much admiration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mashelkar. I would now like to request Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, Founder and President, Symbiosis, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, to kindly address the audience.
Good morning to all of you. Today's distinguished speaker, editor of Loksatta, Girish Kuber, President of PIC, Dr. Mashelkar. But this is not a correct description. Dr. Mashelkar is an idol of all. Many functions are held in Symbiosis Vishwabhavan, but rare. This auditorium is packed to capacity. And some students are standing. Looking at this, I was wondering what might be the reason. And of course, the reason is Girish Kuber. Thank you so much for gracing this as chief guest. When I was professor at the Ferguson College, Dileep Padgaonkar, Talmiz Ahmad were the students. And I am glad that Ambassador Talmiz Ahmad is present to pay his tributes to Dileep Padgaonkar. Is he here? Yes. Thank you. But that time I did not know that he was a student in Ferguson College. Because in Ferguson College, I was in professor of botany and he was in arts. And 2 wings in Ferguson College were totally different. Be that as it may, when we started Symbiosis and various institutions of Symbiosis, after retirement, Vidya approached him. And Vidya is very good in involving IAS, IPS, and so many after their retirement to join Symbiosis. Then Dr. Mashelkar, Dr. Kelkar, Dr. Dharia, myself, and others, and especially B.G. Deshmukh, I remember, we decided to start PIC, Pune International Center. And soon thereafter, he became so active that he was there in each and every program. And personally speaking, when Vidya's sons and daughters' marriage was there, and we had organized a reception in Delhi, he was there to welcome VIPs to the reception. So we had a personal and family contacts. And that is how we had some emotional attachment to Padgaonkar family. After his death, I saw, especially Dr. Mashelkar, almost in tears. So much, both of them were attached. In Symbiosis, he was working in different capacity. In fact, he was not working, but he was a part of Symbiosis. And I still remember Dileep telling me that most of the news items which appear in newspapers are either from Delhi or from Bombay or from Pune or from Chennai, Calcutta. And so he and Abhay, who is also on the stage, they both decided that there should be something to promote what they call rural journalism. Be that as it may, today's chief guest, Girish Kuber, I am a fan of Girish Kuber. There are very few newspapers which are read for editorials. And Loksatta is there because Girish Kuber, in fact, Sharad Pawar once made a remark in his speech that nowadays no one knows who is the editor of any newspaper. But surprisingly and pleasantly, Loksatta is known by its editor, Girish Kuber. Please give a round of applause. He has written many articles, he has given many interviews, but I still remember his speech on Narahar Kurundukar. And I will suggest to PIC that you should arrange one lecture of Girish Kuber on Narahar Kurundukar. I need not tell you, Narahar Kurundukar in fact is not popular in Pune or other places. And in fact it is necessary to introduce Kurundukar to Puneites because he has a multifaceted personality. I will tell you, there was no subject on which he could not speak with authority. So I request Dr. Mashelkar to arrange a special lecture of Girish Kuber on Narahar Kurundukar. When I was coming from our university campus to this Vishwabhavan, I happened to listen to his interview with Dharmendra Pradhan, who is now Minister for Education, Minister for Higher Education. And I tell you, that interview itself is so illuminating that, for example, both Girish Kuber and Dharmendra Pradhan are interested in energy. And it is really on energy that they were talking. He also elaborated his policy in education, higher education especially. So it is very enlightening to see Girish Kuber in different roles, author, interviewer, then articles. Such a person is here today as chief guest. Thank you so much for coming here. Over to next person.
Thank you, Dr. Muzumdar, for your heartfelt words and for your continued support. We would now like to felicitate our guest speaker, Mr. Girish Kuber. May I request Dr. Muzumdar to kindly felicitate him on behalf of Symbiosis.
I'm sure Girish Kuber must be doing R.K. Lakshman. And therefore, to perpetuate his association with R.K. Lakshman, I'm giving R.K. Lakshman.
May I now request Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar to felicitate Mr. Kuber on behalf of Pune International Center. I now request Ruchi Jaggi, Director, SIMC, to give us a formal introduction to our guest speaker and to invite him to speak.
Well, it's an absolute honor every year to stand and introduce the keynote speaker for the Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture. I think I have been so fortunate to be a part of this series from the first lecture, which was delivered by Rajdeep Sardesai. The next year, we had eminent journalist Shekhar Gupta. We then had Mr. P. Sainath. The 2 years after that were the pandemic years, and we held the lecture virtually, when we had Karan Thapar and then Mehfooz Aman from Bangladesh delivering this lecture. The last year in particularly is something that all our students and colleagues would remember, when Yogita Limai from the BBC delivered the Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture and spoke so much about her work in Afghanistan, which was really eye-opening for a lot of us. I think it's my absolute honor that I stand here to introduce none other than Mr. Girish Kuber, who delivers the 7th Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture. I was a young faculty member when Dr. Padgaonkar was the R.K. Lakshman Chair Professor. When I took over as the head of SIMC, I remember those words of advice and mentoring that he gave to me in my new office, which was very overwhelming for me. It's very personal, so I wouldn't share the anecdote, but I remember Dr. Padgaonkar. Now to introduce the speaker for the day, Mr. Girish Kuber, who is the editor of the Marathi daily Loksatta of the Indian Express Group. Mr. Kuber has spent over 35 years in journalism, and he was the political editor earlier of the Economic Times. Well, for many of you who are aware, his column in Loksatta titled Annitha is widely read, and he's known for his nuanced commentary on diverse subjects, from politics to business to society and even pets. He's the author of the book that Dr. Vidya referred to, The Tatas, How Family Built a Business and a Nation. And he has a forthcoming book in 2023 called The Invisible Enemy, which is going to be published by HarperCollins. He's also the author of a book called Maharashtra, The Making of a Renaissance State. In fact, he has written 6 books in Marathi. In addition to that, just to mention a few other details, he started his career in journalism in the year 1985. Many of the students wouldn't know what that year looks like. Yeah, that's how long it's been. He's also the recipient of the British government's Chevening Scholarship. He's worked with the Guardian London during the tenure of this fellowship, and he's covered many international events, including the G8. In addition to that, he's been with the Loksatta now since 2010. He's participated in the Cambridge Energy Associates Cambridge Energy Conference. It was the first energy conference held in New Delhi, which he attended along with Mr. Vijay Kelkar and Mr. Kirti Parekh. In fact, he was the only journalist to have been invited to the Cambridge Energy Conference. He was also the recipient of the Anant Bhalerao Puraskar of 2022. And there is a lot of contribution that he's made to literature in Marathi. I am not a Marathi-speaking person, so please forgive me for my pronunciation if there is a problem. I have translated everything in English, but I'd like to mention a few of those books. One of the books which came out in 2005 is called Hatel Navacha Itihas Ahe. It is a book about the history of oil since 1850s, when Rockefeller dreamed of setting up his oil empire. It also talks about how oil has been driving major developments in the last 150 years. Another one, which is called Eka Tiliane, which was published in 2007, is on the legendary Saudi oil minister, Sheikh Zaki Yamani, and the tragedy of the West Asia. In addition to that, Adharm Yudh was published in 2009. It is a comprehensive history of how Western powers used Muslims for petty political gains right from the Great Game. It came in the wake of 26/11 and explained how the current terrorism is a byproduct of the energy wars. I think I can go on, but I think the man of the moment, the speaker of the day, Mr. Girish Kuber, I don't want to be a hindrance between him and the audience here. So let's hear from the keynote speaker for the day, Mr. Girish Kuber. Thank you very much.
Namaskar and good morning to all here. Honestly speaking, it's kind of an awkward moment. Awkward because these days not used to listening something good about myself, and so thanks for this opportunity. So dignitaries on the dais, especially Muzumdar sir, Mashelkar ji, Vidya ji, and Pune International Center, Latika ji also, for having me for this prestigious lecture. It's nice to be in the company of Shekhar Gupta, Karan Thapar, P. Sainath, and Rajdeep, Yogita. So it's absolutely wonderful. And there are actually 2 reasons that make me special for me for this event. First is obviously Dileep ji. I was not lucky enough like Abhay, who worked directly under him and had an opportunity to report and write. But I was lucky enough to have a lot of interaction with him. And this is basically thanks to my former editor, Govindrao Tarwalkar. I was in Goa. He once introduced me to him. Both of them, they were in Goa for some lecture. I think Leslie Sony program or something of that sort. So I was witness to Dileep ji talking about, and that particular day, there were many others, and those who are from the Marathi literary background, they will understand the importance of Shri Pu Bhagwat and Mr. Lad, Puga Lad, and some other writers, Mohandas Suktankar, theatre person, Govindrao Tarwalkar, and Dileep Padgaonkar. And it so happened, somebody talked about poetry, Marathi music, and it went on to a discussion about Lavani. And I still remember Dileep Padgaonkar ji talking about Lavani and rendering a couple of very famous Lavanis. I was absolutely taken aback. I mean, here was an editor of a national biggest daily speaking about Lavani. And the kind of knowledge he had about Lavani, it was quite a learning for me. And as I was one of the cub reporters, one of the junior most in the crowd. Obviously, everybody was the big ones there, So Govinda talked about me and my writing. And that particular day, I had one article published in Maharashtra Times about Feni. Goa and Feni, I don't have to tell the importance of that. So, fortunately, Dileep Padgaonkar had read about it. And he also liked it. Maybe he was just charitable, but he liked the article. Govinda was talking about the Feni and the cocktails and the whole process of making Feni. A very organic drink and kind of stuff, So, then Dileep ji asked me, then why did you write for Times of India? So this is the personal reason I had. I feel I should be mentioning. It was he who pushed me, or rather pulled me to the English journalism. I was then only for writing for Maharashtra Times. I was staffer for Maharashtra Times. I started working for both. And soon after, he paid the price for having me on Times of India. There was a very controversial politician in Goa, and he was arrested under Coffee Posa. I don't name him, otherwise, anyway. But don't ask me whether his name begins with A and ends with C. And so he was put in Tihar, Fort Aguada jail. And Rajdeep was handling the news part of it. Rajdeep also had affection for Goa, being a Sardesai, Saraswat and Goa connection. I don't have to tell you the importance of the community part. So both of us went to interview him. Just imagine a situation. There is a practice in Goa, they allow visitors to meet those who are in jail. And if you carry, it's basically Sunday, it is allowed, you carry fruits and some kind of stuff and stand in queue and they're allowed. And we actually did that. We didn't disclose our identity. Rajdeep was in print then, so it was easy to disguise. And we interviewed him. Shankarrao Chavan was the Home Minister. And this particular politician talked everything that shouldn't have been said, and we reported everything that shouldn't have been reported. It was a Saturday, and for the next Saturday we ran that story. Nobody knew. We held it for a week or so because it was really explosive. It was page 1 in Times of India with our byline. It was page 1 in Maharashtra Times with our byline. Very next day, Monday morning, I still remember the name of the collector. Venkatachalam was the North Goa collector. He issued a warrant against us. And jail breach was the reason given. And he talked, the story was so explosive, and this particular politician was known for his other activities. And we reported everything and whatever he had said, So there was a arrest warrant. And I'm sure Latika ji is not aware of this because Dileep Padgaonkar had to actually run around to save both of us from going behind bars. So I'm saying she's not aware because otherwise she might have had second thought for inviting me for the lecture. But that interview, it's very nice of Dileep ji, never in whatever my tenure was in Times Group, he never mentioned anything about it negatively. That's something was a lesson for me, how to handle your colleagues, how to safeguard them, and how to stood by them. He really stood by us. He called up people. That matter went on for long. And Mr. Ram Jethmalani was the advocate for this particular politician. So you can imagine what we must have faced, But how to stand by your colleagues and how to defend them in crucial hours. Though there was nothing wrong in whatever we did, but the quest for stories, it was so much in both of us, we didn't bother. And those were the days. Journalism was what it should be. So it was carried, and since then I had a very nice relationship with Dileep ji. And when there was a chance of me after this scholarship, he suggested me, he and Kumar Ketkar, I owe personally to both of them, and that I should move to Economic Times instead of Times of India, and then rest for me is history. So this particular reason is also, for me, it's very important. It's personal gratitude I thought I can have. And another reason is obviously Pune. My career in journalism began in Pune. I love this city. I was a student of Ranade Institute. Though I didn't continue to be here in the profession, because I realized Pune is a beautiful place once you are done with journalism. I'm saying it in a very lighter note, because tomorrow I don't want Pune Patrakar Sangha to issue a kind of a resolution against me. And so this also is the reason Pune International Center inviting me. And again, on the personal front, to speak in front of Dr. Kelkar, who I consider myself lucky enough to know him, and he's like a father figure for me, has helped me understand many things. How to teach someone without being a teacher. This is something I'm grateful to Dr. Kelkar. Another reason, obviously, is Dr. Mashelkar. He may not remember it, but it was, I suppose, 94, 95. Just after his famous Haldi Ghati ki ladhai, I had interviewed him, and since then I've been following him. It's a kind of a overwhelming feeling to speak in front of all these dignitaries. I mean, for me, I am not into what you call this fan movement or the selfie, and not even once I have had a good physique. I don't know how to take it basically, but there was only one occasion I thought it should be pictured, it should be photograph, and that was when, just imagine someone, you are studying or following someone, and you are in front of that person, and along with a person which I consider myself lucky enough to know first and through electronically, email, and then meet in front of, in one-on-one meetings, that is Daniel Ergin. So it was my fan movement, Daniel Ergin, Vijay Kelkar, and me standing in between the two. It happened in Delhi a couple of years back. So thanks for this opportunity. And the topic, which is extremely dear to my heart. Where is journalism, where it is going, and what exactly contemporary media is facing the issue, and in the current scenario. Why it is so important? I feel like every generation, it's not that mine is the only one sandwiched between the old and the new, and every generation faces that. But this is a typical, peculiar problem for my generation, which is facing, on the one side, there is a classical journalism that is expected of us. On the other side, there is a new media, social media, which is doing its own journalism. So where are we going? What lies ahead? So this is important from my point of view, because there are certain good things this new media, new technology, or the social media has done. Like the famously what Dr. Kissinger said about oil men in 1973, when Saudi Arabia imposed ban on basically export ban on oil. US was starved of oil. That is the famous quote by Dr. Kissinger when he said, "Oil is too important to be left to oil men." So the social media has exactly done the same thing to the media, because news it was too precious to be left to only newsmen. It is actually freed. The news has been freed from the clutches of the newsmen, those senior guys deciding what should be published, what shouldn't be published, and giving Gyan kind of a larger than the life persona. That has gone. Definitely that has gone. That's a good thing, because news these days is completely on autopilot mode. news, we don't have to do anything to send or give or release or telecast or broadcast news. News is on totally autopilot mode. And when news is in autopilot mode, the question arises in the minds of, obviously, I see so many students here. What is the job of now newsmen then? What newspaper person should be doing? Then this moment, I think, we all feel that we are at the crossroads because the traditional definition of the news has to be changed. 5W and 1H. I'm sure students here must have been told about this news definition. Every news should answer 5W and 1H, when, where, why, and whom, what, blah, 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 and how. But I think now time has come to add 2 more Ws to this existing structure, existing dimension of the news, traditional dimension of the news. What are these 2 Ws? They're very important to have this in mind. Otherwise, we will be redundant. Newspaper, I mean, who is going to wait till next day morning to read what happened 24 hours before? News is live. News is on autopilot. It's on your mobile. It's on your whatever medium you are using. So this outlook about news from the newspaperman has to be changed. And if they want to change, if they want to go along with the tide, if they want to challenge the situation, and if they want to be relevant, most importantly, this is the crux of this thing. They want to be relevant. They need to add 2 Ws. What are the 2 Ws? They are why now and what next? So every question, every situation, whatever situation you face or you experience, you witness, you realize this is to be explained, you need to have these 2 extra Ws. Why now? So you can think of anything. It may be social issue, it may be political issue, it may be economic issues. These 2 questions, addition of these 2 questions makes a newspaper person's job more relevant. And if you're not able to do that, then you continue to remain. There is a definite and real danger of being obsolete. I mean, it will be completely outdated. So these 2 questions are very important for another reason. And that another reason is it's difficult to, I will not say difficult, but it's challenging to do journalism what it was few years back, When liberal values are being threatened, when doing journalism is seen as kind of an anti-national, or when there are choicest abused hurled at media men like prostitutes and libra-do and such things, So unless we don't have this, we don't develop this capability of having these 2 questions, why now, what next? This will answer every question journalists should be facing, journalists should be answering. Because when individuals' right and the liberal values are not exactly sacrosanct in our society. So this is something we have to understand, that if we don't change, if we don't improvise our own profession by understanding these 2 Ws, life is going to be extremely difficult. So the obvious question from after this will be, is it happening only now? Because this is something we face every day. You write something and there will be tens of questions next morning. Where were you? Then Nehru did that. I mean, I was not born. I mean, it's not my fault. So in this new era, this is not for the first time it's happening in India, particularly if we recall history, because we never exactly respect individuals' right, freedom. These are something we always consider they're alien to us. They are European values. So we went to the extent of people are thinking now indigenous version of constitution. It's bound to happen. There were dark periods for the media persons. Emergency is a classical example. But there is a difference between what was then in emergency and what is now here. So currently there is a phenomena. I don't want to blame anyone, not any particular person, individual or political party, because this is irrespective of whatever party of power. So there is a classical divide that's being played out in the open. The media was seen till now was part of the group that is supposed to challenge the establishment, enlighten the society, be part of the freedom of their own rights, But that is gone. We are now seen. I mean, there have been successful attempts to basically put media against the audience, I mean, during emergency, media was part of the solution. Media was never part of the problem. But now, in the current narrative, media is painted as part of the problem. And that makes journalism's job all the more difficult. There was never people against the media. But now, exactly opposite has happened. People view media as somebody who is obstructing nation's growth, somebody is against India's own progress. I mean, I always find it funny, till 2014, let's say. I mean, this is just for the reference, not for any particular reason. The media men who were seen very bold, courageous, and taking stand, those who were respected for writing what they should have been writing, there onwards they became kind of a villains. You are no longer wanted. So when this attitude is very much there in the society, it's all the more important for the media men to stand up and understand the reality of life and be honest with themselves. So these two questions, adding these two questions is going to widen our own scope. Then when you address these two issues, these two W's, you will realize how things differ. I mean, there may be any reason, anything. You can have these two W's add to it that explains the. Basically, it brings proper perspective, gives relevance and the context to the whole development that is taking place. So when liberal values are threatened, when there is such kind of an onslaught of media rights, these two things are very important. So this is first part. The second part, media men will have to change. They definitely will have to change because, I mean, change in what respect? And my theory is that there is too much of politicization of the media. I mean, the media men are obsessed with politics. And I hate, because politics, I always feel politics, cricket, and Bollywood. There are 140 crore plus experts in India. We don't have to tell people about politics or the cricket. I mean, the person who had never had a chance to hold bat, cricket bat, he can be giving gyan how Sachin should have played this shot versus that shot, kind of a thing. I remember one story, one of the authors describing the cricket match and to use the, he was into love with himself and the way words can be used. So this is the real story. I can tell you the name of the person and where it was published. He wrote, this is a Marathi sentence, whoever is Marathi speaking can understand that. Sachin ne marlela square drive. Sachin ne marlela square drive, square leg umpire च्या जवळनं सू करत निघून गेला. I mean, I don't have to explain. Square drive is played somewhere this side, square leg umpire is on this side, But according to that person, square leg umpire and square drive, they were just playing with words were more important. The point is, we don't have to, involve so much ourselves into this politics, Bollywood and cricket. This is everybody knows about it. So media will have to grow above that, And I remember when I was in Economic Times, the then editor of Economic Times, he dismantled political bureau. those who are from the journalism or familiar with the journalism terms, they will understand what I'm trying to speak. He dismantled political bureau. He said there used to be a beat structure, you know. Somebody will be covering the BJP, somebody will be marked for Congress, somebody doing Shiv Sena, blah, blah, blah. So he said this is not going to happen. It's free. Everybody has to be freed and free to write on whichever party. What matters is the story. So, and his theory was, it's a very interesting theory, which I followed in Loksatta. He said, I don't want to have these beat reporters, because his observation was that once they are out in the field and once they are back in office, they become ambassadors for the party they cover. So it's like the BJP guy will be trying to push his story over the Congress guy, and obviously BJP guy will succeed. So, so his point was that this should be only from the administrative point of view, that this will be the points person for one particular party, but everyone is free to write on whichever political issue he or she wants to write on. And that's exactly, I feel it's necessary to do, because otherwise it's all what you call a friction in the newsroom, you know, this party reporter versus that party reporter. I've seen those arguments in my earlier days. So this is one thing that media will have to give up, obsession for politics, because that is ruining, you know. Journalism is being, it's getting bad publicity because of that. And there are other two things they need to understand. There are two larger issues media is completely oblivious about. They don't respond, they don't understand, because politics is the easiest thing to report on. I must tell you, I mean, it's a kind of a, I may sound a confession note, but it's the easiest thing. So I'm sure many of you must have watched TV debates, which actually are not debates, you know. But what happens is the anchor asks ex-political leader one question, that one question, the end of it becomes next question for the next panelist, and it goes on like a chain. It's a self-sustaining, self-feeding cycle, which at the end of the day you get nothing out of it. So this is not the way media should have been looking at. Particularly when we are sandwiched between the journalistic needs and the onslaught of the new media, and when we are actually at the crossroads, you have to understand serious issues. And my submission, my feeling is that there's too much of obsession for the politics is ruining the media. And there are two important issues media should be immediately handling, looking at, and start writing, discussing, taking up these two issues. The first, obviously, is the climate change. Many of my experts from the energy sector, they say that this is going to be bigger than what we experienced during the COVID. It will be 3 times bigger than the challenges posed by climate change. They are going to be even bigger than what we faced in 2020 during the COVID. And why it is so important, it's not only from the society's point of view. When you are told that by 2070, India will be carbon neutral, so not many of my colleagues know what exactly it means. What is carbon neutral? And what difference is going to make to your and my life? This is how media should be looking at it. If you look at, if you're reading Guardian, New York Times, or such papers, these are the issues they are handling, and it's all the more important in Indian context, because when you're living on 85-86% of fuel being imported, and you are told that by 2070 you are going to be carbon neutral, it's unrealistic. If it is not unrealistic, if you feel it's doable, then we should be writing about, we should be telling about things happening, the things which are necessary to meet that target. Are they happening? Is there any process which is laid down to meet that target? I mean, I'll tell you simple statistics. I mean, when Dr. Kelkar is here, myself actually, I'm feeling it's too audacious to talk on energy-related issues. But see, like if you are importing 46 lakh barrels a day, That is what you call hydrocarbon. It's a fossil fuel. And by 2070, we have to bring it down to zero level or to make it carbon neutral. I mean, what it takes, 86,400 seconds a day, just divide 50 lakh barrels divided by these many seconds. It's come to something like 57, 56 barrels a second we are using. We are burning that much oil, that much fossil fuel, that much damage, that much environmental challenge we are up against it. So are we ready for that? And to make the society ready, first media has to understand, media has to take up these issues. And nowhere I see, there may be few exceptions who are handling these issues. And if someone tries to highlight those issues, he is branded as, it's become a kind of a gali in Indian context. He will say anything about it because he's, at the end of the day, he's what? He's an environmentalist. As if it's crime to be an environmentalist, you know. But this is what we are stuck into. Society is not interested in these things. Society is not interested because society is not fed these issues. Why society is not exposed to these issues? Because media is not understanding these issues. Media is not exactly interested in these many issues because it doesn't have what you call the TRP, eyeballs. We need to go beyond that. And to handle that, what I call the entertainmentization of the media is the real challenge. We are all becoming kind of an entertainers, you know. I mean, what media needs? 30 minutes of yours, eyeballs. You will be switching channels, jumping from this channel to that channel, hopping channels. But to get your attraction, we have started entertaining. I mean, Shekhar used a very right term. I mean, when there is a story about war, anchors get into war gear and then they present news. I mean, he used the term comic commandos, you know. So where are we now? Is this media's job? When there are so many serious issues, when there are so many important things to be explained, we are happy entertaining the audience and we are becoming kind of an entertainers. That is to be stopped. And this is one challenge which will make us or break us, you know, from being relevant. And the second, obviously, is AI. I mean, I don't see, being a science graduate, I understand the importance of artificial intelligence, and having come from the regional media, I find it all the more important to understand the importance of it, because many of us will be losing jobs. Because when certain stories to be translated, when particular guy is to be paid for that, he is to be arranged, there is so much money to be vested or invested into it, and when there is a computer doing that, why journalists will be needed? This is another challenge we are completely ignorant about, and I'm not trying to be what you call playing the devil's advocate or alarmist. These are real dangers. I mean, there was a case in US. The AI actually came out with a judgment, court judgment. I mean, till the concerned advocate disclosed that this is not by any of the judges, this is by the AI. You can imagine the seriousness we are going to face as a society. And this is not only from our journalistic, very small, narrow window point of view. It's from the society. If you look at the larger picture, just imagine the establishment along with the large corporations controlling AI. What is going to happen? As it is, many of us feel that we are living in Orwellian era when war is peace and lie is truth. So if this is the situation where when people are willing to believe whatever they are being fed, whatever they are being told, just imagine a situation when these two things will start controlling the AI, artificial intelligence controlled by the all-powerful government and supported by the large corporates. It's going to be a huge challenge. And when in this context, when I look at the challenges or how we are at crossroad, I always believe, I mean, this is something we have to overcome. To overcome that, we have to understand these are the real issues. And what is the media's role? Whatever be the era, whatever be the life they are into it, or the situation they are in. And it reminds me of a famous song. Whoever is of my age or older than me will remember, there used to be a famous band, I think it's a British band, Queens, and the most popular song of that band was We Will Rock You. And this is something, it's media job. We have to keep rocking the system. We have to keep questioning the status quo. We have to keep challenging the situation, whatever we are in. And it may be social media, it may be print media, it may be electronic media. Though we are at crossroads, we have to overcome the challenge, and it has to be done. Otherwise, I always feel otherwise, the society deserves the media kind of it gets, you know. You are happy with whatever being fed, you will get the media whatever is around. If we are looking at a dream of becoming a developed nation, maybe except China and Soviet Russia in 70s and 80s, no nation without strong media has survived or reached that status of what do you call the developed nation or the top 3, top 4. And this is the reason why I always feel that media has to question everything and the situation. When the issue of, say, $5 trillion economy, and my problem is that we celebrate everything without understanding the nuances of it. 5 trillion economy doesn't make us, we as citizens, richer than Indonesia. The per capita income will be even still maybe less than Indonesia. But 5 trillion economy, dream it sold, and we are willing to lap it up. We are happy to celebrate that. This is something I always feel media's role begins, you know. It's question everything, irrespective of the party in power. We have to question everything. We have to question every part of the establishment, even opposition's establishment, because I remember when in 2012, in March, when I criticized Anna Hazare for whatever he was doing, I wrote 3 edits in a row on Anna's and how hollow Anna is. That was typical blunt Marathi. I mean, when people complain about me being, or the language being harsh, I always tell, this is what the beauty of Marathi, you know, it's not nuance, it's direct. It's direct. And this is something I should say in city like Pune. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was accused of very harsh language, and his reply was, again, if I may speak in Marathi, the famous statement by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He said, Rao Saheb rastyavar padle. रावसाहेब रस्त्यावर पडले तर आम्ही रावसाहेब रस्त्यावर पडले असेच लिहिणार. रावसाहेबास बरे वाटावे म्हणून रावसाहेब जमिनी समांतर झाले असे लिहिणार नाही. So this is what the journalism is. This is what our ability is, and we should be using this. We should be able to do that, no matter whatever challenges we are faced with, you know. And then I mean, this crossroad. Actually, I feel threatened by the social media. Actually, I feel threatened by the advent of artificial intelligence. And actually, I feel society's apathy towards the media men, you know. I mean, looking at it, an anti-development. So, but even we are faced with these challenges. It's time. It's every generation that keeps on doing it, taking on this challenge. There will be few who will be part of the system. They may be happy, enjoying. I mean, I always feel ashamed when my own colleagues take selfie and put their DP with some ruling party or whichever political. I mean, we are not here to entertain. We are not here to please anyone. We can't be. Media can't be. Whatever be the era, there are so many media students I see here. We can't be cheerleaders for anyone, neither for opposition nor for the establishment. We have to be doing duty, and that's why I always tell my friends in media, there is nothing like leftists, rightists. This is all, I mean, it's okay to, for academic discussion, for annual events. You have to be pro-people, and whatever it takes to be pro-people, we have to do that. So this is something I always feel we should be doing, and I thank PIC, Latika ji and Symbiosis Institute for inviting me for this extremely prestigious lecture series. To end with, I always love one poet, you know. I should end with his couplet. Anybody must have read or heard about Dushyanta Kumar. He's one of the finest Hindi poet. When I'm posed with this question, what media is going to do, or how are you going to survive? I say, yeah, so far we will continue to survive. I always remember his couplet, you know, the two famous lines. He says, कौन कहता है कि आसमान में सुराख नहीं होता? कौन कहता है कि आसमान में सुराख नहीं होता? Who says you can't drill a hole into the sky? See the power of pen, power of expression. And next he says, कौन कहता है आसमान में सुराख नहीं होता? एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उठा लो यारो. एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उठा लो यारो. It's something essence of the media. You know, it doesn't mean that we have to go stone pelting. That's not my intention. But questioning the establishment itself is एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उठा लो यारो. I am sure we all will continue to do that. Many of you who are aspiring to be on this side of the profession, please do come. And this could be the real kind of a tribute to men like Dileep ji and all those great writers. They have really enriched us, and they have laid kind of an example for us. This is something we should be owing whatever freedom we are enjoying to their memories. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for reiterating the basics. I think we now have 15 minutes for a question and answer session with the audience. So we could take the questions immediately so that we do not lose time. So over to the audience, and we'll have a mic in the audience, right? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please raise your hand to ask your question. I'm sure they haven't all been answered yet. Yeah, so. Hi, come, go ahead.
So, sir, my name is Akshay Patil. I'm studying second year BCom from Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce. So, my question to you is, at the end of the day, media is a business, right? So, whatever the media is going to do, it is going to attract the eyeball. So, how can you do or create news that attracts eyeball at the same time and also shows the reality of the society or the administration which they are working?
Very nice question. I'm sure. And as a commerce student, I can understand the importance of it. So, which side of the fence you are from? See, at the end of the day, everything is business, no doubt about it. But what are you going to sell, and who are your buyers, quote unquote? What's your TG? That matters. And good content requires a lot of capital. Content creation requires a lot of capital. You have to pay for travel, tour, the staffer, I mean everything. So there is no dearth of capital in the business. The issue always is who are you looking at? So I tell a very interesting example, not from the media business, HUL, Hindustan Unilever. HUL produces Lifebuoy. HUL is also the producer of, say, Dove. But it never mixes. It will not try to sell Dove to those who wish to buy Lifebuoy and those who are interested in Dove. It will not experiment with sending them Lifebuoy, you know. So for the media, that's exactly is the issue. I mean, what are you trying to sell? What is your audience? And there are always people out there in the market or buyers in the market who are willing to spend or pay for good content. And that is what it has been working always like that. It's not that situation has become very difficult now. It was always there when Kesari was at its peak, you know. There were, I mean, circulation or the revenue wasn't always an issue for Kesari, but there used to be 1 or 2 copies per village. So content creation, good content creation, and the belief that there is always buyer for good content. This is something that is keeping publications alive, not only alive and kicking. I must tell you a very interesting story of I don't know whether you know this publication called Foreign Affairs. You know, so it's a monthly, and another one my friend comes out with, the New Yorker. It's a weekly. So this is the only publication, New Yorker, whose that publication's circulation revenue is more than the ad revenue. You understand? So people buy it because they know we are going to get something extraordinary which other publications can't offer. And this is the story. I mean, people, there will be always a large number of people who are interested in entertainment. And those who complain about the TRP, I always tell the most powerful button on the remote has a red color, and you can press it freely, you know. So ultimately, it depends on what you want to watch, what you want to read, and if you are sure about what are you offering, there are people who will spend for that. And this is the belief many publications are going ahead with, including Indian Express.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we have a hand here. Could you please give the mic here?
कंटेम्पररी टाईममध्ये सोशल मीडिया किंवा बाकीच्या गोष्टीमुळे जे मीडिया इथिक्स आहे ते डेव्हिएट होत चाललंय. विथ ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट सगळेच नाही, पण असं होतं की जे नॉन पार्टिसनशिप असते किंवा इंटिग्रिटी असते ती कुठेतरी डेव्हिएट होते. तर याच्यासाठी काय करायला पाहिजे किंवा त्याला काय केलं जाऊ शकतं?
It's a stage, I believe. It's a stage that will pass because in a country which always believes in जे मोफत ते पौष्टिक. So whatever is being paid through social media, some people are happy with that. But there is always, a class of society that believes in seriousness. And so social media, yeah, it's a phase. It will challenge media for a while. But at the end of the day, it also will pass, you know, because... and my experience is that I remember my generation watched onset of TV, and there used to be a discussion, ab to radio mar gaya. So once you have a TV with picture, who will listen to radio? But radio reinvented itself. So the print media, the electronic media, it's in the process of reinventing itself to face the social media. And those serious-minded, I don't think they still believe in the social media. And the second part of ethics, I don't think it's an issue. No one wants to, no one forces you to be unethical. It's you who decide where I want to stand and where and stand for, you know. So there will be always people who are willing to surrender. There will be always people who wants to stand up and question everything. So ultimately, the society that will have to decide what exactly they are looking at, and that's the only hope.
All right. With the hope that this shall certainly pass, let's ask for the next question. Right?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my name is Sahil. I'm a MBA first-year student. As you mentioned that in India, like people, 140 million people have different opinions on politics, on Bollywood, on cricket. And there's a recent trend. And certainly, I agree. We agree to that media over-reports politics. But my question is that, for instance, that young generation has started this new trend of being apolitical. So what would you recommend us, as in how much involvement should we have in forming opinions, getting involved into debates, online debates? So what would be your suggestion over that?
See, you can't get rid of politics from your life, maybe it's not only about India, it's applicable to everyone. Politics is essential, it's at the core. And those who believe they are apolitical, I always doubt their moral compass, When you are neutral, the neutrality indicates you are supporting the establishment. So you have to be, there is no harm. In our society, it's always seen as a kind of a sin, being opinionated, But you have to have opinion. I mean, there is no harm in doing that. But having an opinion and having a learned kind of an opinion, that's the difference. And that's the difference, it's extremely crucial. So don't feel shy of having affection for politics or politicians, or the political issues. They are at the core, but we should be able to face those, and so I don't. Again, I take the, support of my mother tongue. I'm sure you must have heard of Padgaonkar Thackeray. Not this Thackeray, the elder one. Uddhav Thackeray's father, Bal Thackeray's father. He was one of the first early, atheist, he along with, so there's a famous quote by him. There is a word called Ajata Shatru in Marathi. Ajat Shatru means having no animosity with anyone. That's a very larger, very charitable view of it. Ajat Shatru is someone who doesn't have any issues or doesn't fight with anyone, that kind of a thing. But Padgaonkar Thackeray described Ajat Shatru is the most useless person. So he doesn't have opinion on anything. I think in a way it's right. We have to have our opinion, our views, and to have it with all sides and with little bit of effort from our side to understand the reality. That's what makes the difference. And there is, from the media side, I must tell you, there is nothing like ultimate truth. Even whatever media people claim, there is nothing like ultimate truth. Truth can be 10 and or 12 or 13, whatever, and they are equally true. So media men can't claim that they have understood the real truth. There is nothing like ultimate truth. So if this is the fact of life, learning about politics is also important, and it will make you understand that there is no real truth.
Sure. Yes, sir. There's a question here and there. So you could ask and then we can have it here.
Hello, sir. This is Sagar Gokhale.
Okay, we'll come to
Recently, we have seen so many people moving away from mainstream media. Either they are disillusioned or frustrated, and they are doing very good work in alternative media. You are working in mainstream media for so many years. How do you look at them, and would like to know from you about their capacity to bring social or political change?
See, alternate media has definitely provided an alternate to large platform. That's what I was saying. I mean, it has really freed news from newsmen. It has democratized the media. That's extremely important. And when traditional media, it's surrendering or burdened with so many other issues. It's much cheaper to be part of the mainstream media. This is from the journalistic point of view. It's definitely a welcome movement. But unfortunately in India, it's not remunerative. No one is having a revenue model. Because initially it started offering free, and and thanks to lots of data planned by this telecom companies, it's free, and whatever is being given free, always we have to doubt if it is coming to us free. It's not a product; we are the product. So when something comes to you with no cost attached to it, you are the product which are being sold, not the other way around. So this is an issue, but unlike the West, like if you're reading the Politico doesn't have a presence in the traditional media, but it's one of the extremely powerful alternate media. I think we also will move towards that. Even today, there are so many other media portals or news services which are doing very good, and slowly we will reach their requirement is it's small, but revenue model is also is an issue. I hope they will find the way out. There will be many more people coming out to pay. There's so many big stories have been now brought by these new media houses. And is it the way forward? If traditional media is not up to the mark, having choices, that's something as a consumer, consumer of the media, will that should please us. There are so many channels, so many things, good, bad, whatever. But you have a choice. That is something very important, I feel.
Sir, could you please ask your question?
Namaskar. Sir, do you feel the media is the conscience keeper of the society? And if it is not, then should the media take on that role? Thank you.
See, in our society, there are 2, 3, or maybe 4 professions who have been given unnecessarily burdened by these so-called this conscious keeper, the professor, the teacher, doctors, and media persons. I remember 3. But you don't expect media men to be honest from a society that respects dishonesty. There is I remember J. Krishnamurti has a this is something, it's remarkable statement by J. Krishnamurti. He says it shouldn't be a matter of pride to be healthy in a predominantly unhealthy society. So if we don't respect honesty, if we don't respect, if it is not seen as a virtue, I doubt media men also will be part of the same society, and that's what is the real crisis is, We should be, but I don't take that responsibility. We are the conscious keeper. There is nothing like, see, my problem is, trying to put it logically, but people don't like this issue. It's not that only army Jawan is important. Postman's life is also equally important. His career is also equally important. When you put this versus that, and some role gets a higher kind of a moral responsibility or values, that's unfair. That's unfair. So media men shouldn't be interested to be conscious keepers of the society. They should be questioning the conscious. That's up to that point. I agree. But the whole conscious keeper, I don't think any part of the profession can be of that. Society is much larger than any profession, actually.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for these very honest, very patient, and very, very reflexive responses. With this, we come to the end of the question and answer session. May I request the audience to give a huge round of applause to our keynote speaker. Thank you. I now invite Lisa to take the proceedings forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruchi, for moderating that Q&A. May I now request Abhay Vaidya, Director, Pune International Center, to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. आजचे आपले प्रमुख पाहुणे श्री गिरीश कुबेर, दादा मुजुमदार, डॉक्टर माशेलकर, डॉक्टर केळकर, लतिकाताई पाडगावकर, डॉक्टर विद्या येरवडेकर आणि आपण सर्व मान्यवर. So Girish, you are one of the most inspiring names in Indian journalism today, and in these times of assault on journalism, you have really told us and spoken about the core values of journalism, and you have reminded us of these core values. You have spoken about what kind of future we are headed for and what kind of values journalists of the future and society in future needs to possess. So in fact, the Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture Series does precisely this. It reminds us, and the speakers who have spoken under this series have reminded us of the values of journalism, and you have truly served that purpose in a very big way. The Pune International Center family, of which Symbiosis is an integral part, is always happy to see young people in the audience, something that Dr. Mashelkar mentioned right in the beginning. So those of us who had the honor and privilege of working closely with Dr. Padgaonkar are eternally grateful to him for encouraging and giving fabulous opportunities to young men and women around him. Girish spoke about his own experience of how Dr. Padgaonkar brought him into English journalism. And there are any number of names of young beneficiaries of his generosity. I am one of them. That one can rattle. Rajdeep Sardesai, Sagarika Ghosh, Sucheta Dalal, and not to forget P. Sainath, the Raymond Magsaysay award-winning journalist who delivered the third Dileep Padgaonkar Memorial Lecture in this very hall. Sucheta Dalal has said in one of her tweets, and I quote, "Owe it to Dileep Padgaonkar that he cleared the Harshad Mehta scam story late evening on 22nd April 1992. We can never forget that at Symbiosis he was the R.K. Lakshman Chair Professor, and Professor Ruchi Jaggi and many of us have such vivid memories of many of his initiatives for the students of the media school. I may not be wrong if I say that he was one of the architects of the Symbiosis School of International Studies, where many of PIC's trustees and members, such as Ambassadors Vijay Gokhale, Sudhir Devre, Gautam Bambawale, Ambassador Talmiz Ahmad is here with us, are closely associated with. A journalist par excellence, Dr. Padgaonkar actually celebrated life. Dr. Vidya has mentioned about how he was an expert of matters related to food. Beside politics and international affairs, he took deep interest in anything and everything. So, food and culinary issues, literature, academics, science and technology, arts and culture, Marathi Natya Sangeet. Girish, you mentioned Lavani, and how can one forget films? He knew countless national and international personalities on first name basis. And when the owners of India's biggest English language daily wanted to meet Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, they requested Dr. Padgaonkar. And when that meeting got over, Mr. Narasimha Rao requested Dr. Padgaonkar to stay back for a private chat. That was his reach, and that was his reputation, and that was his stature. I am sure Girish will agree with me that he was unique with a capital U. Finally, I want to mention to everyone here that all his writings are available in the online digital archives at Ashoka University. This is textbook stuff for us journalists and for everyone who appreciates fine writing. We owe a big thanks to Shri Kuber for taking the time out to deliver this lecture, to Shri Madhav and my colleague Gisa Hosmane for organizing this event, and to all of you for your presence here today. Thank you very much. The event stands closed.